Hi guys, welcome to the very first episode of What's Going On with me, Anil. This is going to be a series of episodes that I'll be doing where I'll talk about things that I love like music, movies, sport, and lots of other cool stuff. I was hoping to start this series off with reviews on some movies or some TV series that I've been watching because there are some really great ones out there. But the Australian Open is on at the moment, and we've been treated to some amazing matches. A couple of days ago, we saw Andy Murray take on, Thanasi Kokkinakis of Australia. Of course, Kokkinakis the home favorite. Andy Murray pretty popular too. And it was just a phenomenal match. One of those matches that will go down in the books as a classic. Okay, 5.5 hours or 5 hours. Murray was down 2-0. He came back, took it 5 sets, and eventually won it. So I want to just talk a little bit about that. It was such a great, inspiring moment. So I invited Dilenthi who lives in Canada now. She's a dear friend, and she's a fellow tennis enthusiast as well. So here we go. For people who don't know Dee, she's like a force of nature, right? She's a lawyer, she dances, she plays tennis, she's a mom, she's a wife. She cooks. Oh my God, she's such a great cook. And so she does a lot of great things. Okay, Dee, so I was watching this match. I know you were watching it as well. Oh my God, what a match, right? I mean, this guy, he just never stops amazing us in these big five-setters. No, he's played so many five-setters. He just wrapped up one the other day with Berrettini where he pulled off a miraculous win, and he just did it again. Incredible, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I've sort of noticed a trend with Murray as well is that he does take, and I think he needs the 5 sets to actually get to the finish line. But to me, what amazes me is that he has actually, he has it in the tank, in his tank to actually perform in that capacity for 5 sets. That's what amazes me.
Yeah.
I've seen this trend in most of the tournaments he's played so far. And yeah, he's such a champion. He's a fighter, and he's giving us the entertainment we want, right?
Yeah. It's incredible. Like yesterday, I always set out, as you know, like I know for you, the Australian time difference is a bit harsh. For me, it's not as harsh. Like the matches start at like 5:30 in the morning. So I set out a few matches to watch. Yesterday I set out, I wanted to watch Camila Giorgi's match because I'm a big fan of Camila Giorgi. And also this was the match that I was looking forward to because Kokkinakis has been on top form, like I only knew Kokkinakis because I thought he was Kyrgios's doubles partner, but he's quite, as a singles player, he's amazing as well, and he's been coming on leaps and bounds. So I knew this match will be great, and I missed the first 2 sets actually because I had some work. And when I saw that Murray was down 2 sets, I was a little bit worried, but my gosh, just the way he came back is amazing. And you're right, he's like made a habit of this. But what do you think about the way Kokkinakis played, though? Is this the first time you're seeing him, or have you seen him before?
I've watched his doubles games with Kyrgios. This is probably one of the very first matches I'm seeing him play singles. No, it was very impressive. Now, I had the opposite reaction to you, actually. So I have a difficulty with time difference as well. So I can only catch a few matches before I get to bed. And then in the morning, if a match goes on till late, like Murray's match then I'm lucky to see a match, right? So when I woke up and I saw that Murray was 2 sets down, I wasn't worried. I thought, you know what, this guy could come back, and he might very well come back. So I had like a different reaction, and I was chatting with a friend of mine who's Australian, was also like, the reaction was like yours. I said, "Oh, Murray's losing." I said, "No, don't disregard him just as yet." And
in the back of my mind, I kind of knew too, because he has done this so many times, right? But you think, at 35, with his surgery, how many times could he do it? And I think the great thing for me about Murray yesterday was, like, even the match with Berrettini a couple of days ago was great, where he won the first 2 sets, and then Berrettini came back, won the 3 and 4, and Murray came back in the 5th. But in this one, when things were not looking like, even in the 5th set or in the 4th set, when Kokkinakis was playing those audacious serves, and Murray just didn't look worried. He was at one point. I saw him almost smiling at Kokkinakis and saying, "Okay, you serve this, mate. I'm going to whack this out of the park or whatever." He just seemed really relaxed, and that's amazing, right? After like 4.5 hours or whatever, at his age, with all the shit he's been through, to be that relaxed and to be that confident, I think that says a lot about his character.
Absolutely, it's about his character, but I also see that in all of the the top players, right? Like the Federers and Nadals, the Djokovic's and Murray's, what they bring to the court is that patience and the perseverance, and I think that speaks more about their the experience that they have behind them, right? They've been through this over and over again. He's a 5-time finalist at the Australian Open. He's done this so many times before, so he knows that being patient will get him through across the finish line. I also noticed that because I think the weather, because this time the Aussie Open, the weather is giving them a little bit of trouble and the roof is closed. I think the balls are bouncing a little slower. So there are less short points and long rallies. So when that happens, the more seasoned players, I think, are able to handle a situation like that better than the young ones who haven't been around so much or experienced so many of the finals or the semifinals kind of a game before.
You have a point, because my Emma was saying the same thing. As in, when I say my Emma, I'm talking about Emma Raducanu, of course. Like, she was playing, she played an amazing match the other day with Coco Gauff, and I was so happy because she lost the first set, but she came back so strong in the second set, almost pulled it off. She had 2 set points and she couldn't pull the trigger on them, but she fought and she played with a lot of heart, and she was saying actually she felt that the court was slowing down a little bit because of the roof and the lights and all that. And I think if you are a person who plays really aggressively, I think you can be at a slight disadvantage. But then I guess at this level, you have to get used to that and adapt to the environment, right?
Right. So I mean that's the key, right? Adapting, and that's why I said earlier as well, is that the more seasoned you are as a player, I don't want to use the word quicker or easier, but I don't think it's quick or easy to adapt. But I think because the experience is on their side, they seem to adapt a little better.
Yeah.
I was also surprised. I don't know if you saw the Felix Auger-Aliassime match. Yeah, so the first 2 sets he was struggling to assess the opponent, right? He couldn't assess the game, the player, the speed. So I actually went to sleep that night thinking Felix is going to be out of the Aussie Open. So I was pleasantly surprised when I woke up to find out that he hadn't. And my gut feeling once again is adapting. I think it took him a bit of time to settle down and adapt to the condition.
Right.
And he's actually another guy. He's another guy like Murray, right, who can come back. He's come back from match points. He's come back from 2 sets down. There's another fighter champion in the making.
Yeah.
A good one for the future.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, I haven't really watched a lot of Felix, but I've heard a lot about him from you, because I know you have a lot of interest in him in more ways than just tennis. But still, I mean, he's and also he looks a nice chap, I watched this little vlog that, who's Berrettini's old girlfriend, man? That girl with the big mouth?
Oh, Alia.
Tomljanovic, right?
Ayla
Tomljanovic. Yeah. She's hot though.
Ayla Tomljanovic, yeah.
Yeah. She does this, and Felix is always with her because I think he's dating her cousin sister, and he seems like such a nice guy, So I can see what the attraction is on your end. Well, I don't know, but no, he is a fighter. I haven't watched some I watched one match. I think he played with Nadal, and I think he won some time back. Am I mistaken, or did that happen? That happened, right? He won with Nadal, isn't it?
I know he's beaten Nadal. I believe he's also beaten Medvedev at some point. So I think he's got that under his belt.
Right.
I think he's got 4 titles under his belt. So
right.
You know what? He's Canadian. I'm supporting him. I want to see a Grand Slam win.
No. I think like now once we have. I mean, Novak is not going to retire anytime soon, but he'll probably play for a couple of more years. And Murray, I think maybe for about a year or two. I mean, I think Nadal is all but out at the moment when you look at his match last couple of days ago. But I mean, these are great champions, and for a long time, I think there were a few names in the men's game that were dominating the sport, right? Federer, Nadal, Novak, and you have to put Murray in there as well. I mean, he's been an amazing champion of the sport, and I think now with them leaving, the door's wide open and it's open season. But it's very hard to see another Nadal or a Federer in the current group of players we have. Yes, Felix is great. He's still very young, and the only person I can see kind of turning himself out to be one of those top players is maybe like Alcaraz, who from a very young age started to show that kind of brilliance of a Nadal or a Federer, who actually, I mean, Federer took a bit of time to get to like that, Superman status, but you could still see in his early days, I mean, he had a bit of a temper when he was young. I don't know if you remember, he used to lose it all the time. But you could still see that this guy had some magic. Nadal, from the time he started playing, you could see he had that magic. Novak, what really, I mean, we are both huge Novak supporters. We supported him through the last whole Aussie Open debacle, with the COVID stuff and everything. And, but with Novak, from the first time I saw Novak all those years ago, this guy was a star. And yes, his tennis was great. But even he was such a prankster and a joker, and he had so much charisma. You could say this guy had so much to back up his tennis, and he's going to be amazing one day. But right now, I don't really see that. Yes, you have the Berrettinis, the Fritz, the Taylor Fritzes, just Alcaraz. What do you think? Have you seen any players in the current crop in the men's game that you think will be as big as the top four someday?
No, to be honest, I don't think. I think we've seen the glory days. We've seen three of the greatest tennis players ever to grace this earth. Cumulatively, how many do they have? Over 60 Grand Slam titles. I mean, we're not going to see that again. I don't think so. I'm pretty confident we'll not see that again. So, I mean, I think you and I are lucky to have sort of lived through this time period and seen the three of them do what they do, push each other to such great lengths to see the growth in each other, right? So, I mean, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know how many years Djokovic has been playing tennis, but I can guarantee that I've liked him and been a fan of his for majority of the time he's played tennis. And it's probably because he was the underdog of the three, always was referred to as the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Well, always the number three,
because
he was always number three for such a long time, right?
Yes. Yes, and he was always like, he would come into the finals, he'll face Nadal and Federer and never win the title, which is why he was always, and but I saw that perseverance, I saw the fight, and the fact that he did so much work on himself, like, with respect to his diet, his exercise, to, I remember the time when he was asthmatic and he used to breathe heavily and bounce the ball 20 times before serving. And then he worked on all those things. He worked on his second serve, and he's such a well-rounded player. And to me, he's an inspiration that,
oh, for sure,
he's never give up. He calls himself the wolf attitude. He's lived, grew up in the mountains. I have the wolf mind or the wolf attitude, that's very inspirational for a younger generation. And the three of them, how they have pushed each other to be this level, I don't think we'll ever see again. Alcatraz is fantastic. He's super fast, but my question is, can he sustain it for 25 years? I hope in Felix, our guy, because I feel that his kind of mental strength and the patience that he is showing on court and the real drive, I think he's going to go very far. So I think it's only a matter of time before he wins a Grand Slam.
I agree with you. I think he's a great player to watch for the future. And I think, for me, actually, I see a lot of Novak in him for some reason. I see that kind of temperament. Novak for a long time, I mean, he was very cool on and collected and calm on court. He does lose it a bit now, every now and again, but he's still a cool player. And I see that in Felix. He just seems a really calm player, and even when the chips are down, he just takes it to another level. I mean, I watched a little bit of that match that he played yesterday or day before, where he took it to a 5-setter. I thought he's gonna be out because so many top seeds have fallen in the men's game and in the women's game. Actually, Ons Jabber got knocked out yesterday as well, number 2 in the world. So so I thought Felix is out, but he found a way back in, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also Holgerun. Don't forget Holgerun. We can't discount him. He's there. Like, he's very gutsy. He's got a lot of grit and guts and a lot of, I think, anger in him that he puts in his games. So might help him to go, down the road.
No, I mean, a little bit of anger is always good. I mean, that's what I love about Kyrgios. I mean, I love watching Kyrgios. I know he maybe not very ethical or maybe not very politically correct or whatever, but still, what entertainment. I mean, that's what it's all about. And I really miss him this year. He pulled out at the very last moment because he is the reigning Aussie Open doubles champ as well, along with Kokkinakis. And last year's doubles, I mean, their teaming up together was just pure theatre, pure entertainment. And we're going to miss it this year. So, I mean, I think a little bit of temper is okay, It's good entertainment for everyone and it's good fun, maybe not so much for the players. But talking about keeping their cool, Kokkinakis did play very well. And, I mean, there's a school of thought that he could have had it, in the third set. He almost kind of pulled it off. But, I mean, Murray, in typical Murray fashion, pulled it back and took it to a 5th set. But there were some amazing points yesterday, D. Just Andy Murray's defense was just it was just out of this world. I was like, how did he hit that? Like a simple little backhand, he'll play like a backhand volley or a glance. I mean, how did those balls go over the net? And there's this one point, I don't know if you saw it, where Kokkinakis was just slamming it all over the court and Murray was right at the back and he was just returning everything and he won the point. And I think at that point, Tanasi was so pissed off, he just slammed his racket to the ground and kind of demolished his racket. So just amazing defense from Murray, yesterday. I mean, just a great all-round game.
Midnight madness in Melbourne.
To me, it's just simply amazing that this guy was supposed to retire 4 years ago, who's got a steel hip. At his age, at almost 35 years old, I think he's turning 35 in May.
Yeah, that's right.
He's doing what he's doing. He's taking on 20-year-olds.
Of course.
Beating them to a pulp.
No, that is true. I mean, if you look at Murray's game, it's not a lot of brute force. It's not a lot of power. Yes, he has it. He does utilize it when he has to, but it's just keeping the ball in play and getting those angles. He's a master tactician. And then when the time is right, he will just whack something at you and you just don't know what to do, And he's got a great serve as well, right? He's got a brilliant serve and it came good for him yesterday.
Yeah, he's got a great serve, but I do think he has some power in him. He's a big guy. He's like a heftily built guy, right? So he's got the power as well, I think. But you're right. It's the patience and repeat shots and then seizing the moment and sort of capitalizing on it, right? With him.
Yeah, that's true. I think, I mean, you, me, lots of people who love the sport, I mean, it's just amazing. It'll be a sad day when we see all these great players, call it a day. Roger Federer's retirement was so emotional at that, I think it was at the Labour Cup or whatever. And Nadal just seems like he just doesn't want to stop, and you got to feel for him, I think. It's not about making money at this stage, I think, for any of these guys. They're all over $200 million rich or whatever. I mean, their net worth is staggering. It's just that I think it's just a love for the sport. And I know Murray, I mean, I read about Andy Murray. He's a genuine lover of tennis. He, even when he's not playing, he's always watching the sport. He always talks about how he watches matches even if he's not part of the tournament, and you can see that in him. He said, he wears his heart on his sleeve. And he, remember a couple of years ago he lost a match and he broke out into tears, and everyone kind of criticized him for it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, personally. But these are great players, and it's going to be a sad day when they are no more. Okay, Dee, before I let you off, show us your t-shirt. I can't see your t-shirt probably. Show us that t-shirt.
I am Team Djokovic.
Yeah, Team Djokovic. Dilenthi has actually almost met Novak, right? You go, when he's playing in Canada, you go and watch him and his practice sessions, right? And you watch him at his matches. Have you ever met him?
So in August every year, Canada has Toronto hosts Toronto and Montreal. They host an ATP tournament called Rogers Cup. Now it's called National Bank Open.
Yes.
And a few years ago, so the men, they alternate between the men and women playing. So this year is actually men again.
Right.
So one of the years that the men were here, I learned that Djokovic was practicing with Wawrinka at 4:00 one Sunday afternoon. Packed the whole family in the car, went to the stadium, and I watched him and Wawrinka, practice for about 2 hours. And then later on, he came around, he signed autographs. And I got so excited. I dropped my phone, almost broke it. But I did come this close to Djokovic.
Okay.
1 year.
All right, so there you go. That was our chat with Dilenthi on that amazing matchup between Kokkinakis and Murray, and just tennis in general, the Aussie Open. We'll be talking more about the Aussie Open. We're currently just getting into the fourth round, and as the semi-finals and the finals getting nearer, we'll talk more about that too. So thank you to Dilenthi for joining us here on our very first episode of What's Going On. We'll be talking more about movies, music, and lots of other great stuff in the weeks to come. But that's it for now. Okay, guys, until next time, take care and God bless.